Hello and welcome. My name's Angie Holden and I'm the blogger behind the Country Chic Cottage. Today we're going to do a big glue gun comparison. So I have 6 glue guns here to compare. What started this was that Cricut has released their own glue gun, and I thought, why review one glue gun when I can give you a review of several that I personally like. So I will say that, number one, I believe a good hot glue gun is the best investment you can make for any crafter, so crafters of all types. I personally am not a fan of like a super cheap glue gun, like if you get at the Dollar Tree you can get a glue gun for $1, and I just don't feel those work properly and you're just going to get frustrated. A good quality glue gun can make a huge difference. And the second thing I wanted to say, if you did not know, several years back I co-authored a book on hot glue, so I have used a lot of hot glue and a lot of hot glue guns. Tons of different brands, types, all the way from ones with tons of features to ones with no features. Just to get an idea for the book of what kind of glue guns we wanted to promote. And then I, of course, came out of that with my favorites and my favorite brands, and I've kept using those over the years. So I thought I would show you a few of my favorite glue guns, what the features are, and do a few tests. The only one of these I have not used yet is the Cricut Glue Gun, so I'm going to plug it in for the first time and use it during this video to compare it with the other ones that I have used several times. So let's talk a little bit about hot glue guns first of all. You can get ones that take mini sticks or full-size sticks. Now a lot of these come with both options, so I can get, say, this Xyron glue gun. I can get a version that takes full-size or mini sticks. Not all glue guns are like that. Some only take the big, some only take the small. So if you are partial to one stick type or the other, that might factor into your decision. Like, as of the filming of this video, the Cricut gun only takes the mini sticks. And the Cricut gun does advertise that there are fewer strings, fewer drips, all that kind of thing, but they only guarantee that if you use their glue sticks. And 3 of those glue sticks came with the gun. So I will be using that in the gun during the video, as well as putting regular glue sticks in and using those as well to see what kind of comparison we can get with that. So a lot of these glue guns have features like stands, or I have a cordless version here. I'm going to compare the features of the guns I have. Now there are other guns on the market. I don't have examples of them, but I've used them before that have like interchangeable tips. You can get super complicated with glue guns. These are my favorite for just regular everyday crafting. Now, if you want to get a little more intense, I do have some other examples were definitely included in the hot glue gun book. I will link to this below. Several years old, but still good information in the book itself. So now let's get started comparing these glue guns. We're going to compare each one, and I am going to use a very large silicone mat for this to compare the glue on, so I can just kind of compare it. And then if you don't know a silicone mat, the glue doesn't stick to it, so you can just kind of peel it off afterwards. I have various sizes of those. Again, it's something that for my craft room is a must. So a silicone mat for hot glue, like I keep my hot glue gun on one at all times, and I keep these large ones for like underneath projects if I'm working on something large. So let's start with the glue guns and run some comparisons. All right, so here's the Cricut glue gun. I mentioned it comes with 3 sticks. It almost takes a full one, so it's just barely hanging out, just to initially put one in. So it does have a light. That's the only indicator. When it's red, it's not heated up yet, and when it turns green, it will be heated up. Now, the Cricut gun does not have a stand, so you just need to lay it on whatever surface you're using, which would be a great idea for the silicone mat since nothing sticks to it. Any drips will be fine, but it is supposed to drip less and have fewer strings, so we'll see if that happens or not. I do like guns with a silicone tip at the end, so I will say, so this is getting warm. It's not all the way hot yet, and this tip portion is very hot. So just because that is covered does not mean that it is not hot. So the tip is still hot, even the aqua part, and then this portion seems to be cool until you get up around this very outer edge here, and then it is warm. So the gun is heated up. It did not take long to heat up at all, and I'm going to start squeezing it, and we have that first glue stick inside. So I'm just going to start kind of squeezing it, and glue starts coming out immediately, which is nice, so I don't have to like prime it up or anything. And then I'm going to try for like a fine bead of glue first of all. And so the first stick is already in there so much that glue is not coming out. So I will need to add the second stick. And as I add it, just like with any glue gun, glue is coming out. And so I'm just going to try it with, yeah, I just stuck the glue stick in there and it just grabbed it, which is nice. Some glue guns don't do that. You kind of have to force them in. Yeah, so eventually, just like any other glue gun, the first stick is in there too far and it's not gripping the second stick enough. So I usually have to push the second stick in twice with any glue gun. This one's no exception. Alright, so now let's try maybe some big puddles of glue. And it did make a glue string. You might not be able to see the glue strings. And there it made a glue string again, and there is a drip hanging out of the gun. So maybe less glue strings, but I don't know if I'm seeing that. For me, like I get used to at the end of the line kind of twisting a little bit, pressing down and twisting, and then I don't get glue strings. But if I'm to use this like most people would, which would be just to glob it on and pull away, I get a glue string. So I don't know if I would say necessarily that I'm getting less. So what I want to do is just leave this gun setting to the side and see if any drips come out. So right now there's nothing around the nozzle, and I'm just going to leave it sitting and see if it drips. And I'm going to leave it for several minutes and we'll come back and take a look. Within just a few minutes, I already noticed a drip coming out of the nozzle of the Cricut glue gun. I let it go a few more minutes and it continued to slowly drip. I definitely wouldn't say it doesn't drip, and I'm not even sure if I would say it drips less. And then we'll take a closer look at these glue strings. Remember, this is with the Cricut glue sticks, and you can see that there are strings on my mat when I did the puddles of glue and sort of pulled the glue gun away. I might say there's fewer strings, but I would definitely say there will still be strings with the Cricut glue. So now it's been a few minutes. There is a puddle under the glue gun. So I am gonna change the glue stick out now. So I'm gonna run this one all the way through, and I'm gonna add just regular glue to it to see if I can tell a difference. I have regular glue in this now. It's been sitting here several minutes, dripping about the same. I just thought I would, again, just test it with making some lines across. And then maybe, again, some big globs of glue. I will say that the finer glue strings, so these just really fine ones, were less with the Cricut glue. Like the bigger glue strings you get when you pull away from the glue was about the same. So yes, I would say the glue strings are less with the Cricut glue, and I was able to control them a little bit more. Dripping, I think, was about the same, although this glue comes out more at the end. So like when I'm at the end of the line, stop the flow, this regular glue comes out more at the very end of the cycle. So I do think that the Cricut glue will offer you fewer drips and less strings than regular glue in the Cricut glue gun. So now let's move on to another glue gun. Next up, we have two glue guns from Surebonder. This version comes in one like this that takes the mini glue guns, but it also comes in like a full-size version. It has a cord. This one also has a stand. So I've been letting these heat up. This version is the Lynn Lily version. Comes in this color. Does come with this stand, and it has this cute little like thing here that catches any drips, which is awesome. And then it's cordless, sort of. So you can remove it. The base is corded. You can remove it from the base, use it off the base. However, every time you're like not using it, you need to put it on the base basically to kind of like heat and charge up. It only comes in the size that takes the small glue sticks. You can't get in the larger version. This also comes in like the green and black version. So if you like the green and black color scheme better, this does come in the green and black. So first of all, like the Cricut gun, both of these get hot even on this silicone portion and up to, you know, right around here. And then this one's even hotter back further. So it's hotter more in this area as well. And then cool to the touch back here. Same for this version of the glue gun, so hotter up towards here. Now these are from the same company. I plugged them in at the same time. This green and black one is older. However, it dripped way more as it was heating up than this Lynn Lily version didn't even drip at all. So I'm not exactly sure why it would drip more given it's like almost an identical gun, just the corded version. But I did want to note that it did drip more. This version is a dual temp, so I have it on high, but it also has a low temp. So if you like a dual temp gun, these guns are really nice. This one only has an on-off switch, so this is on-off. They both have an indicator light at the back, but it only indicates whether it's on or off. It doesn't indicate whether it's hot enough for glue. Now both of these have been heating up for a while, so we can go ahead and test them, I think. And again, this is just like regular glue, so I'm going to pull the Lynn Lily version off of the base. This is the gun that I'm using most often right now. So I like the precision tip, but it is similar, the tip itself, to the Cricut gun. So I can get thin lines with it just like I could the Cricut gun. And then once again, I can squeeze it and make big piles of glue. And I would say that the strings are similar to the Cricut gun with regular glue. And it is time to load a new stick, so I'm just gonna push that in there and give it a try and see if I need to push it any further. I will say I've used this gun a lot. Sometimes I need to push it again. This time I'm not going to have to. But again, the strings are similar to the regular glue in the Cricut gun. Overall, a very similar gun, except that this one comes with the base, which I like, this pad, which I really love, and the fact that I can pull it off and make it cordless, which is why I personally use it, because I'm using it over here for you and video, and it can be plugged in anywhere on my craft table. And now for the other Surebonder gun that's corded, this stand does flip down. So I just put a new stick in this one, and I did have to push it in that second time. And like I said, the Lynn Lily version does do that to me sometimes. So I do find that this version, the tip is not quite as precise as the Lynn Lily version. So if we take a look at them side by side, you might be able to tell that this tip has a finer point, and I do like that. I just don't have as much control with this gun. I don't get the bead that I'm looking for with it, I guess. Again, the strings are about the same. I can do big lumps of glue. And I've just been playing around here, and it probably needs another stick. But I would say it's similar glue strings to the Cricut gun with regular glue. However, it did drip way more than any of the guns I've shown so far. And again, the tip on this one I'm not wild about. That may be the difference in why it drips more, because the tip is larger and it would probably allow more glue to go through. So again, strings similar, but drips more with this version of the Surebonder gun. This is the Xyron multi-stick glue gun. I've had it on for several minutes heating up. It doesn't get hot until you're way down here, but again, the silicone would be hot on the tip. It does come with this stand that has a little catch on it, and it did drip some, but it caught right onto the stand. So all of the drips just kind of go with it when you flip it back, if that makes sense. This version takes the smaller glue sticks. They do have a version that takes the larger, and it holds 3 glue sticks at a time in this cartridge while one is in the gun. And you just push the sticks in. There's a hole in the back. You just push them in, and then after you push them in, they're all loaded for your next project. You can lift this up, and you can access them at any time, or you could load like all 3 like this. Just put them all 3 in there and close it up. And so now it's ready to go. And what we'll do is we'll try to use the stick that's in here all the way out, so you can kind of watch how it auto loads the next stick. I do use this glue gun a lot when I'm going to be doing a project that uses a lot of glue. The tip itself is pretty large. However, I can get a pretty fine bead of glue. And then when it runs out, and I'm just going to squeeze quite a bit here, and you can kind of see the glue strings here, similar to the Cricut gun with regular glue. And then as it's running out, it gets harder basically to squeeze because you're getting to the end of that glue stick. So once I get to the end of the glue stick, and I'm going to try to make a puddle here. So I'm about at the end, and all I have to do, I kind of shake it to kind of drop the next glue stick into its place. And you might have to do that a couple of times. So I might have to just shake it once more. And now I can feel that that glue stick is in its spot, and I can just continue on with my glue without needing to reload another stick. So I do like it for projects where I need a lot of glue. I use this glue gun a lot actually. So now I'm just going to do some piles just to illustrate the piles themselves. So I will say these glue guns, similar to squeeze and pressure. The Cricut gun is really smooth when you squeeze it, I will give them that. And the Surebonder guns have a similar feel. This one is a little harder to squeeze, I will say that. So a little harder to squeeze, but you get the benefit of the extra glue sticks in here and just dropping those into place. And the little stand that catches any drips that might come off. But like I said, I noticed just a few drips before I started, and I had this heating up a while. Next up is two Adtech glue guns. I've had them both heating up a while. They drip about the same amount as the Surebonder, the green and black version, so quite a bit. This one is the Project Pro High Temp. It has a little stand, it does have a cord. This one does have a cord. It is the Precision Pro, but the tips on these are almost identical. The Precision Pro might be a little smaller. I do like a fine tip on my glue gun, so most of the glue guns I have the fine tip. This one, it has like a wide base, so it stands up on that base. I will say that the base is nice and it makes it like really secure. You know how like some glue guns aren't secure when they're on their little stand? This one is super secure because it has that big base. Okay, so I'm gonna use the Project Pro first just because. And it's almost out of glue, so let's see if I can even get any lines here before I need to replace it. And I probably do need to put, a new glue stick in there, so we'll go ahead and replace that and test that portion. So I will say this one is super easy to squeeze, and I can get a pretty good bead with it. And again, like I have to push the glue stick in twice. With most of these I do. Maybe I'm not patient enough and don't let the glue run out enough. And I will say glue strings similar to the Cricut gun with the regular glue installed. So most glue guns do this. As you put a new glue stick in, the glue takes longer to come out. But I do think the Adtech guns takes even longer. That's just like kind of my feel for it. But now that it's flowing, it's doing pretty good, but it needs another glue stick already. So we'll add another glue stick and just do a few more lines. And I do think, I mean, it's similar to the other glue guns. I would say squeezing it is about like the Xyron version. So the Cricut and the Surebonder were the easiest to squeeze, whereas the Xyron and the Adtech are a little more difficult. Now it's time for the Precision Pro. This one has like an extra long glue stick in it. I will do my best to run it out so we can see what this glue gun does. So I'm gonna like make a big pile up here. But let's go ahead and make some lines with it. Like I said, the tip on this is a little finer than the other tip, and with it being finer, I am able to get a better line of glue. So my favorite glue guns are always the one with the finest tips. I'm just gonna say that. So this is a nice gun, similar tip to the Lily Surebonder glue gun. Similar glue strings to the Cricut version with the regular glue sticks in it, I will say that. So I was able to use out that whole thing. So now I can add another glue stick and we'll run that test really quickly. And again, I have to push it a second time to get it to like grip, and actually a third time. So now that it's in there, Again, similarly, I can make really fine glue lines with this, just like I can the Cricut version. And again, these are hot up to here. The silicone tip is hot as well. These don't have as much protection on the tip as, say, the Cricut gun does, so there's more metal showing. However, the silicone gets hot to me. So I don't know that the silicone would burn me. I'm not gonna try, but it does get hot. So I don't know if the extra protection on the end is really worth the extra cost or is really an additional feature. All right, so now that we've used all these guns, which is my favorite, which one's for you, I thought I'd go over the pros and cons of each one, because you can't really go wrong with any of these glue guns, I don't think. So they're all really high quality glue guns that would make a great addition to your craft room. So we'll go in order. So the Cricut gun. So for me, the cons are there's no stand. That's the biggest con. I don't like that I have to lay it on my table. It does have an auto off feature, which is a pro and great for laying on your table. However, it does drip less and less strings with the Cricut glue sticks. If I use regular glue sticks, it still drips the same as any of the rest of these. Glue strings the same as any of the rest of these. And I did find even with the Cricut glue sticks, it does drip some. So when I lay it on my table, because it doesn't have a stand, it is going to drip. So I would always need to have like a silicone mat or something to lay it on. Now, generally I do have a small silicone mat that I keep over here to the side for any of my glue guns. So it wouldn't be that big of an issue. I just like my glue gun sitting up rather than laying down. Personal preference for me, but it's something I'm struggling with the Cricut gun itself. I will say that it's super easy to use. So for those of you like issues with your hands or whatever, the trigger is amazing, really great. And I do like the tip. So I like a precision gun. It is definitely a precision gun. However, I don't think it's worth the price point. So on all of these, I am gonna state a price point, kind of like a starting at, because prices do change over time. But as of the filming of this video, this one is the most expensive gun out of all these that I have on my table, and I just don't feel that it's worth that price. However, it's a really good glue gun, and it's super cute. So, will you see this in my videos? Will I use it? Probably so. However, if I was to choose between all of these and have the choice of which one to purchase, I probably wouldn't choose the Cricut gun. Just gonna say that. So next up, we tried the Surebonder glue guns. So the Lynn Lily version of the Surebonder glue gun, you probably see this in my videos regularly if you subscribe to YouTube. I do use this quite a bit, and I do really like this glue gun. Great features include the base with the little stand that has the silicone piece on it, so I can set this anywhere and this will catch the drips. I like the precision tip. It does have an easy squeeze action. I do like that it's cordless, so I like that I can pull it off and use it. However, you can't just use it like this. It has to charge. And some people don't understand that, but you do have to put it back on the base regularly, or it will cool off, your glue will start to not come out. So you do have to put it back on the base regularly. However, this is probably one of my favorite guns out of this, so I use this one a lot in videos because of the cordless feature. So if you have any scenario where you don't need the cord hindering you while you're moving around, this is a great option. If you don't mind about the cord, this is a similar gun. I will say this one dripped more. The tip isn't as precise, and I don't like the stand as much as the Lynn Lily edition of the gun. The Xyron gun is the multi-stick. I reach for this one anytime I have a project that uses a lot of glue, so I don't have to refill as often. So as you saw in the video, I just kind of shake it up and down just a second to let the next glue stick drop in. Holds 3 glue sticks at a time, plus the one that is actually inside here, you know, actually going through the gun. So for me, this is what I reach for when I have a project that uses a lot of glue. The tip, fairly precise, I really like it. I do like this stand. So I like that it flips up and has a little silicone piece. However, the stand isn't like super wide. So it is kind of like when I set it down, sometimes I have trouble with it falling over. So I will say this stand isn't quite as wide as I would like it to be. That would be my con on this one. But otherwise, I think once you get used to the feel of it, the squeezing action is a little tougher than, say, the Surebonder versions and the Cricut version. However, it's not bad, and your hand covers almost the entire grip, so you can use your entire hand, which is nice. And once you get used to the feel of it, and like, hey, I'm about to run out of glue, and kind of know to shake it, it's just kind of instinct from there on out. And so I use this one and the Lily one probably the most. These other two are the Adtech versions. Again, I like the tips on these because they're precise. This version that has the wide base, I do like it because I can set it down easily. Like, I don't have to like think about where to set it down. It really sets down and like it's there. Those do drip a lot, and the only thing about these is like this one has a pretty small trigger and it's harder to squeeze than the other versions. So I will say that about the Adtech guns in general, I feel like. Smaller trigger and harder to squeeze than the other guns on the market. So if you compare the Adtech to the Surebonder, same size of gun basically, but the trigger on the Surebonder is much larger, and I can fit like 3 fingers on it, whereas the Adtech is a 2-finger gun. So I do feel like that puts the Surebonder guns at an advantage over the Adtech guns. So if we're talking about fingers, the Cricut is like a 2.5 finger. The Surebonders, I can get 3 fingers on all of those. The Xyron, I can get like 3.5, almost 4 fingers on it. And then the Adtech, like I said, it's like 2 fingers, maybe a portion of a third, but definitely the hardest to squeeze. So if you have trouble with your hands, I would say the Cricut and the Surebonder are the best ones, in my opinion, for squeezing. Next up would be the Xyron. Adtech would rank at the bottom. Price-wise, the Cricut is the most expensive glue gun I have on the table. And then this Surebonder and this Adtech tie for the cheapest. All the rest of these fall about the same price, actually. So all of these guns, the Cricut gun, like I said, it retails for $40 right now. And all of these glue guns are $25 or less when I looked up the prices as of today. So that means that all of these are significantly cheaper than the Cricut glue gun, which definitely factored into the decision of which glue gun I would personally purchase if I didn't have all the glue guns. So I do have even more glue guns in my craft room besides these. These are my favorites and the ones that are still on the market. So I will say that the Cricut with the glue that drips less or has less strings, over the years there have been several other glue guns on the market that have claimed the same thing. So they fewer strings or less drips or whatever. So I have a few of those actually, but I looked them up and they are no longer sold. So as with this one, I find that the guns that say they drip less, yes, it's less strings, less drips, but there are still some, which to me is not that big of a benefit. Like I said, I've used glue guns in the past, claimed the same thing, and I just didn't find it that big of a benefit over some of these other glue guns. So feature wise, I rank like the stand, the cordless factor, the multiple glue stick factor, I would rank that way higher, in my opinion, than the glue gun, no stand, and fewer drips or fewer strings. So for my dollars, I would probably pick like the Surebonder or the Xyron, but you can't go wrong with any of these glue guns, in my opinion. So if you just really like the look of the Cricut one, you don't mind laying it on your table when you're done, I don't think you can go wrong with this version or any of the other versions I've showed you. So hopefully that helps you pick the best glue gun for your craft room. And like I said, any of these would be great. And a good glue gun is going to be an amazing investment in your craft room. Like, you're never going to regret the purchase of a good glue gun. I'm just going to tell you that right now. So if this video helped you, give us a thumbs up. If you have any questions about anything we've covered, drop down in the comment section, ask away. And if you haven't already, head on over to our YouTube channel, hit that subscribe button. We have videos just like this one every single week, and trust me, you don't want to miss any of those. So thank you all so much for joining me, and I'll see you next week. Bye-bye.